Good evening, everyone. This is Karen with Myth and Gears, and tonight we have the finale for the long night. So before we start, I'm going to throw it at the players, and they can introduce themselves, what they're playing, plug anything they want, and then we'll get started. First up, we have Alan.
Hi, my name's Alan, and I run the channel Check for Traps. I'm playing Maul, the Bonekin Barbarian, who recently came face to face with the man responsible, or at least the man he believes responsible for his family being stolen and his enslavement, and now he is just on the cusp of breaking emotionally and mentally as we come to this conclusion.
Thank you, Alan. We will try very hard to make that happen for you. Next, we have Connor.
Hi, I'm playing Atreides, the human druid of the sea, who has been blasting lightning nonstop this whole campaign. And I'm wondering which point will be the tipping point for him and his love of the sea. So we'll see the sea.
It might be very shocking for you to find out. So next we have Jason.
Well, guys, that was terrible. So I'm going to leave. It's been a great game. And anyway, I'm Jason Osorio, and I will be reprising the role of Aegis, the reborn battle master, a construct of rusting iron and wood that is not very good at making puns, and I'm glad for that. And yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens. I'm going to turn off my mic as I laugh hysterically at these terrible puns.
Just trying to break you, that's all. I'm glad we did so.
You have succeeded.
Next, we have Jeremy.
Hello, everybody. I am Jeremy. I have a YouTube channel called The Erasmus Expeditions. Do a lot of live plays, a lot of live plays, and I have videos where I talk about RPGs, things of that nature. We actually just played a session of an ongoing campaign last night that I'm still kind of riding the high from. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, so go check it out. I'm also 1/3 of the Dudes of Yore podcast, which can also be found on YouTube. I do that with my friends Jeff Jody and Chad Nick, where we talk about RPGs and other nerd stuff. So yeah, I'm stepping back into the very quiet boots of Evelios. He is a rogue elf named who is kind of also known as Windrider. He's an assassin and kind of a dark, shitty guy.
Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, I'm going to echo the thought that that game last night was pretty amazing. So check it out, people. It's awesome. Last but not least, we have Baron.
Hello, everyone. I'm Baron. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming. We play D&D and stuff over there. I am stepping back into the shoes of Durnan Kodrendra, the Southmore dwarf who is on a mission to find his antithesis. I guess. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. And everyone that's mentioned a channel, you should find the links in the descriptions below. With that, I'm going to... The long night comes, the earth trembles, in the darkness foul things stir, restless in their slumber. The wise prepare, gather their light, ready to defend their souls from the onslaught below. Delvers listen, heed the warnings, journey too deep, and the darkness may come back with you. A dwarven dirge. When last we saw these fine group of folk, they had just journeyed to a floating island high above Bounty. There they came across Mammon, the slaver. and some of his hounds. This is where we will pick up. Durnan, you are in the field of this this manicured lawn of this villa and are currently making funeral rites over these bodies of the children that are now dead in front of you. Aegis, Atreides, Maul, you have gone around the side of the house where you last saw the guard disappear to. And what you find is a set of pens, kind of like kennels back there, with the guard sitting up on top. And it looks like he is trying once more to open one of the kennels where there are more of these creatures inside. What do you do?
If nobody else is going to do anything, Aegis is going to surge forward, unsheathing the Aether Shard longsword, and it is going to rush up toward this sole remaining guard and try to attack him if possible.
Make a roll.
All right. First roll of the night. Here we go. Not terrible. That is a 14.
That will hit.
Delightful. I love that. So Aegis, seeing what this man is trying to do and seeing, I imagine these kennels are probably not very well taken care of, or are they fairly well maintained? Are they clean, or is it just disgusting?
It's pretty disgusting, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So seeing this, the pools of blue aether light that are this entity's eyes just flare beneath the helmet, and it rushes forward, swings the sword at this this man, maybe catching him in like his lower back, or just maybe carving a line down his back. And Aegis is going to do 7 points of magical slashing damage with the longsword. And then in another fluid movement, it's going to bring the blade across, almost making like a cross on this man's back as it's going to use its second attack, if you will allow me to do that.
Absolutely.
And that is definitely going to hit. Almost max damage. That's another 10 points of magical slashing damage as the blade carves this furrow through this man's back, crimson blood splattering the rusted iron helmet with the cross-shaped visor that is Aegis's head. And the construct will actually say in this reedy voice, "Stop now."
And the man listens as he falls off the kennel to your feet below. The man is quite dead. Maul, Atreides, what do you do?
There's nothing in these cages, right?
There is one cage that still has about half a dozen of these creatures in it. One cage is empty and the other one has some.
And these creatures are they're different kinds of broken and other various creatures, right?
Yes, you have the scorched, drowned, and broken children in there. And at the scent of you, they are all slavering at the bars, trying to reach out and claw you.
Yeah, with them locked up and not being able to get out, I don't think Maul would pay much more attention to them. So he would just look at everyone else and be like, "We have to find the girl."
We do.
Do we have any idea where they took her? The airship flew away, correct, Karen? That was here?
Not yet.
Okay. Then Aegis would definitely look from Maul to Itrides and then to Avelios. We need to get on that airship.
Ivelios, we now turn to you. You're at the desk, rummaging, trying to find papers. It is at this point that the airship starts up. You are finding nothing on the desk, but as you hear the motors start, you look up and immediately your eyes fall on the wall, kind of just opposite you. And you see a carving etched in one of the panels of a rose. At any other angle, you would not have seen this. Probably would have passed it on by. But in the light that just caught it at this moment, now you see it. What do you do?
I almost imagine like this airship has either lights on it or perhaps it even like momentarily kind of passes over the moon, kind of rising off the edge of this floating island, and that's kind of what plays across this carving that kind of throws its shadow across the ceiling for a moment, and that kind of catches my eyes, and then I find the source of it. I'm going to stop from where I'm kind of kneeling back behind this desk, kind of producing my thieves' picks, ready to really start like digging into the bowels of this desk. And I see that, and I kind of cock my head with a curious expression, stow my thieves' picks into my bracer, and kind of stand up and cross the room slowly to this, kind of trying to like walk around it, kind of getting a better angle and trying to figure out maybe what this could be. If it's a secret entrance of some kind of activation switch, just any kind of information I might be able to glean from this.
It's roughly 3 inches tall. As you move, you can, how do I describe? When you start to move around, you know where it is, but then all of a sudden, like, it disappears. It's like only at that one particular angle that you can actually see it. But knowing it's there, you kind of pace back and forth in front of it, and you can see, where it's there, and then it disappears, and then you can see it again. It is very subtle, and without knowing that it was there, you would never have found it.
Okay. What is immediately around it? Is it like in the middle of the wall, or is it like between two like bookshelves, or?
So it's on a wall that seems to be mostly empty.
Okay.
On the wall that has the door, in fact. There are bookshelves like on other walls. There might even be one on this wall, but for the most part, this wall is bare except for the paneling that runs along at the bottom of it.
Okay, he's going to start looking for some kind of switch, some kind of activation method, because he definitely thinks that this could be something that might open.
Okay.
you like a roll?
Yeah, I'm actually going to hold off on that for right now, and we're going to go back to Durnan. Durnan, you are performing the rites on these now dead children. And you're in mid-prayer when the ship starts up behind you. What do you do?
You see Durnan hastily get up from his knee as he was praying close to the ground. Well, as close to the ground as he can get. And he kind of swears to himself, God damn it, I knew I should have stayed on the boat. And I'm running over to the boat. I don't think I was close enough to get there in one turn, quote unquote. But I'm running to the boat to try and hop aboard.
Okay, so you are en route. I tried these Maul. Aegis. As you've dispatched the guard and are starting back towards the main, like the front of the house where you'd left Durnan, you also hear the airship start up. What are you guys doing?
Can we see Evelios nearby, or would we know that he's still in the house?
You do not see him.
Okay. So he just having mistakenly thought that Evelios was with them before, we'll look to the other two and hearing the sound of the airship starting up, look at the other two and just say, you two should go with Dern and I'm going to get Evelios. Hopefully we can make it before the airship takes off. Try and stall it as long as you can. And then Aegis is going to move towards the house and try and get in through the front door and I guess just start looking from room to room. I think it remembers that Evelios may have checked upstairs, so it might try there first, potentially.
Okay. Maul?
Yeah, I think Maul would just be making his way to the airship, and he would probably take the fastest way possible. So if it would be, if it would take too long to like route back through any sort of door, like he would probably just kind of leap out of a window or something. Just the fastest way to get out of this area and then towards the airship.
Absolutely. You won't be able to... What is your speed, actually?
My speed is 40 feet. So if I dash, I have 80 feet.
80 feet. Okay, so you can't quite make it to the ship this turn, but you'd be like Durnan. You would be right there at the beginning of your next turn.
Okay, yeah.
Itrides.
Itrides will join Maul in this act of gonzo machismo to try and leap onto the airship in time.
And your speed?
It's only 30 feet.
Okay, so you won't quite make it as far as he has, so you'll be close enough, probably still next turn, to be able to make it there. Just you're not right there like the other two are. That'll bring us back to Ivelios. Make me an investigation or perception check.
I am going to use one of my points of inspiration to reroll that. That's 14.
So as you kind of lightly trace your hand along the wall, your hand reaches the spot where you know that rose is, where you can see it from those certain angles. And you can feel a slight depression in the panel when you reach the rose.
Okay. So now that he's found that, I'd like to attempt to see if I can find whether or not this is trapped. being in the office of a rather lucrative slaver, Velios is pretty certain that this is probably trapped.
Okay, make me a roll.
Sure thing. Would you like another investigation, perception, thieves' tools?
Yeah, probably investigation or perception. Either of those would work.
Okay, I'll try perception again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a 22 total.
Yeah, so as you're looking around this area, you do not find a trap at all. And you can maybe only assume that the arrogance of this man in his high abode up in the sky, that he didn't believe that anyone could possibly get here into his sanctuary. You do not find it trapped.
Velios kind of realizes this after searching for a moment and then shakes his head and then presses the depression.
And you hear an audible click sound as it does indeed sink into the wall. And about 1.5 feet to your left, one of the panels kind of creaks open a little bit. It cracks open. You can see that it hasn't like fully opened, but it has revealed itself, if you will.
Okay. And he'll start moving that direction with haste, hearing the airship going outside.
Dernan, you are at the side of the airship. What do you do?
Without much hesitation, Dernan's going to just leap aboard the boat.
Absolutely. It has not yet moved, and the way it is docked is a simple move for you, so there's no roll for that. Once you are on board, what are you doing?
This was just a single layer boat. There wasn't like an upper tier or anything, and the passengers were below deck, if I recall.
There is, so you have the main part of the main deck, and then you have like the front and the rear areas where there are raised. So you have like the captain's quarters in the front and in the back, just underneath where the
helm. Of the ship.
Thank you. The steering thing. The helm would be. And you also
steering wheel.
and then you also have the stairs that go down into the hold below.
Did I see them go down when I was chasing them before in the last session, or?
No, you did not see where they went.
I imagine if they're turning on the ship, that perhaps they're below deck. I'm gonna try and go below deck.
Okay.
I'm gonna move that direction with the rest of my movement.
Okay, you will start making it down. Aegis, you're in the house. Avelios, could you make me a roll? Like a
Sure.
stealth roll, if you're trying to be quiet or not?
I don't think that he is actually trying to be quiet in this moment, because it's been pretty obvious that nobody's here. So maybe he's like being quiet out of habit, but not overly conscious of it. So maybe I can roll with disadvantage.
Sure.
Okay.
And Aegis, if you will, roll perception.
Okie doke. That is a 19.
Oh, okay, cool. I I rolled a 9 and a 10, so with disadvantage, it's a 9, and plus 9, that's 18.
Oh, Jesus.
So you just, as you're running into the house and you're about to go upstairs, you hear a sound from down the hall to the last room on the right.
Okay. Then Aegis would move down there and, if it can, try and get into the room and see what Ivelios is doing.
Absolutely.
So it enters and it sees that this panel is open and he's kind of moving in that direction?
Yes.
Okay. So seeing this, the construct would sort of tilt its head to the side and just say, Ivelios, the airship is leaving. I'm sure you've heard we need to leave. We're going to find Marika Godera's daughter. I'm not sure, and it'll nod towards the panel, what that is, but I'm not sure it's relevant.
It is exactly what I am investigating. If you will give me but a moment, I will be ready to follow you. I'm sure this will not take long.
How long does it take to start an airship?
Less time than it takes me to pilfer a safe, I promise you.
All right, hurry up. And Aegis will just kind of plant itself in the doorway, just kind of making sure nothing sneaks up on them.
And initiative-wise, Ivelios, that does bring us to you.
I'm going to pilfer the safe, or whatever this thing actually is.
Yes, as you go over to the panel, you can pry it the rest of the way open. Inside, you find a couple of journals and a scroll. Quite a large scroll, so it's probably not, you're thinking not a magical scroll, but it's some sort of rolled up piece of paper.
When you say large, is it like 3 foot long, 4 foot long?
About 2 foot.
Okay.
You know, and then about 2 inches in diameter.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, seeing that that's all that's in there, he's just going to kind of scoop the whole stack up if he can and turn to follow Aegis. And as he's moving, he's just going to be like stuffing them in this satchel that he has kind of slung over his shoulder.
Perfect. Brings us to Maul. Maul, you are right at the ship. I should have mentioned at this point, the ship is starting to move slowly.
Okay. I mean, would I still be able to just run up the gangplank, or?
Yeah, it's still there's no actual gangplank. It's just kind of like hovering by the ground. It has not yet moved away from the ground. It's just starting to slowly move backwards or forwards. Like it's getting ready to start to turn. I guess is what you'd say.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Maul would again just not hesitating or anything. No regard for his own well-being. He scrambles onto the main deck of this airship, his bone club in hand, ready to just clobber any enemies in his path as he, gets on deck, and he kind of just surveys the main deck. So is there any? Didn't sound like there was anybody on the main deck. It's an empty deck, right?
Yeah, at the top deck there is no one at this moment.
But this is beginning to take off. So if Maul was to look towards the helm, is there anybody at the helm?
No, actually.
Okay. Maul has probably been on an airship being transported, but never really worked on an airship. So he would think that if anything, the engine room would need to be in the belly of this thing. So I guess he would try to make his way towards the lower deck.
Okay, and as you do so, you find yourself right next to Durnan, heading down into the below decks. Atrides. It will take you one movement, at least, to get to the ship.
Yep, I'll do so.
And then once you are on board, what are you doing?
I also give a cursory scan. Seeing there's nobody manning the places that people should be manning. He sees Maul going down below deck, and Not trusting Maul by himself, or at least not trusting himself without Maul. Atreides will join Maul down to join Durnan.
Okay, you make it to the top of the stairs down. That will bring us back to Durnan. Durnan, you are down below. You can see in this area hammocks kind of strung from the ceiling above. Towards the back of the ship, you hear the rumble and sound of the engine. There is also another, looks like a little, like a ladder, trapdoor and ladder that would go down to an even further below deck. What do you do?
So I don't see any people or anything down here with the bunks or anything.
No.
Do I see any like the equipment that would allow this ship to take flight?
There is a room in the back. There's a
Like
door at this point, but you can hear the sounds from there.
I'm gonna head to that door.
And you said your speed is 30?
No, mine is 25.
25. Okay, so you can make it to the door
Okay.
on this turn.
Can I open the door? As an action?
Sure.
Or I'm just gonna throw the door open.
Okay. Doors thrown open. You hear a cacophony of sound as the engine is loud and smoke billowing, that kind of thing. You also see two men in there. One was the guard from above that you saw running onto the ship earlier. And the other is another, seems to be dressed the same way. As far as you can tell, there's two guards, and they are, at this moment, priming the engine.
You two picked a fine day to get away from me.
And they turn and look startled as they hear kind of an unknown voice. Aegis, we will pass to you.
So seeing that Avelios has whatever scrolls and journals and other documents he was able to obtain from that depression in the wall, Aegis will nod its helmeted head, and then the construct is just going to charge back downstairs. So it will move 30 feet and then take its action to dash another 30 feet, hopefully at least getting outside at this point.
Yeah, you're outside and probably from where the house was, you would be like another, you're about halfway, I would say, at this point, across the yard.
Okay.
Where the ship would be.
Perfect.
The ship continues to start its slow movement backward. Has not yet left the land. The two men that you have surprised, Durnan, stop what they're doing and go to grab for their weapons. They will close with you, but that will be all that they can do this turn. Ivelios.
So Avelios kind of turns and sees where you can see this airship starting to kind of pull away, and Aegis is taking the stairs. That's fine for Aegis, but Avelios is actually going to turn and move to an open window and look out, and he sees like this awning, for the downstairs, back door area or whatnot of this estate, and he's just going to leap out the window onto that awning.
Make me an acrobatics check.
I would love to. All right. Yeah, it's a 16.
Okay. Describe how you leap out and onto this awning and what you do from there.
So he kind of opens the window and takes like 2 or 3 steps back and kind of runs and actually just kind of dives out head first, kind of straight through the opening and kind of tucks into a tumble, lands on his back on this awning, which kind of tears the whole thing, and it kind of falls in, and he kind of is in these like bushes that it was covering, and he kind of has to clamber out a little bit, gets back on his feet and kind of turns and gets his bearings, and then is going to use whatever movement he has left, moving towards the undocking airship.
And what's your movement speed?
It is 30.
Okay. So yeah,
But
I would.
I can dash as a bonus action if it matters.
Perfect. So you could go like a 90 in the round, right?
Well, I figured diving out of the window was probably my action.
Yeah. Okay. So you can, I would say, Aegis, as you're racing out of the house, down the stairs towards the airship, all of a sudden, Aegis is there beside you and passing you, and you don't know where he came from because he did not come from behind you. You will both be able to get there next turn. Maul. Likewise, you are downstairs and you see what I described before. You also see Durnan head to that back room and throw open the door and hear the 2 men inside. What are you doing?
Maul would just kind of let out a war cry as he just begins to charge forward, and then he just aligns his neck as he will charge. I'm going to use the Bonekin charging ability. Use my horns, and I will. There's 2. Just whatever one. The one on the left. So I'm gonna make my dash. Okay, just a melee attack. All right, that's gonna be a 17.
Yes, that hits. Yeah.
All right, and I'm gonna go ahead. What's my strength? 7. That's gonna be 11 bludgeoning. And actually no, I'm gonna forego the damage. Sorry, I'm gonna forego the damage and knock him prone instead.
Does he make a save for that, or it just automatically happens?
It just says if I can choose to forego the damage and knock him prone instead. So
Okay.
if I hit, then it just happens.
Okay, so you don't damage him at all?
No,
Okay.
I'm not gonna damage him. I'm gonna charge him, so like just knock him down a little bit, and then I'm gonna use my extra attack with my club, and I will attack the other one.
Okay.
That is a 19.
Yep.
And ten bludgeoning.
Okay, this guy kind of reels from your attack. He is still standing, but that definitely shook him. Atreides.
Atreides unhooks his harpoon crossbow, levels it, knocks it, and aims it at the one that's Maul clubbed, and will click and fire.
All right, give me a roll.
18 on the die for a total of 23.
Oh, yes, that hits.
Max damage, 11 points of piercing. It's a lash
Okay.
event.
So the one as he stumbles back from the clubbing from Maul, you immediately pierce him with your harpoon, and you can describe how you kill this guy.
I hook him in the upper arm, and this is not the killing blow, but there is a fine fishing thread attached to some of these harpoons that I fire, and I'm able to yank on it and rip out the barbed harpoon, revealing this nasty bleeding arterial gash in his lower upper arm, under his upper arm, which caused him to bleed out profusely.
Very, very, very gruesome. Thank you. Durnan, you have bashed open this door, like flung it open, and immediately the two in front of you, one is down on the ground and the other one is dead, like almost missing an arm. What are you doing?
Can I try and subdue this guy?
The one on the floor?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you want like an athletics or is he putting up a fight?
I mean, yeah, he'd put up a fight, so you can roll to hit, but he is prone, so you would get advantage.
I'm rolling to hit. Okay. Ooh, first one was a 9 with +6, but the second is a 19 +7, so 26 to hit.
Oh yeah, that's a hit for sure.
If I can, I'm trying not to kill him, but if he dies, he dies. Okay. I only rolled a 1 for damage +4, so 5 total.
Okay. Yeah. You definitely give him like a good punch, like across the face or whatever, like, you know, right at the temple.
Good bump on the noggin.
Yeah, and this guy just kind of like crumples for you. We're going to consider him subdued. And you may do what you will with him as he slumps. Aegis.
All right. So seeing that Ivelios is very close, the construct is just going to try and power forward towards the moving airship, dashing another 60 feet forward.
Yeah, you definitely could make it onto the airship with that.
Okay. Do I need to roll anything or just I'm on it?
Yeah, no, you're fine. It hasn't moved far enough away yet.
Excellent. And so Aegis will sort of stop and just kind of gesture with its the arm that's holding the shield for Ivelios to hurry up and get on this thing before it gets too far away.
And with that, the ship does indeed move a little bit further. So it goes before you, Ivelios. But it is now your turn. You will have to make a roll to get on board.
Okay. So this is a docks area, right? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Has it pulled like directly away, or is it going up or down?
It's pretty much going like it was going back, and now it's angling out. So
Okay.
it's still level. It would be like a long jump kind of thing. It hasn't quite got that far away, so it's not terribly far.
Okay. So as Ivelios has kind of come out of this bush and kind of gotten his feet under him, and he sees Aegis kind of run by, he's going to start taking off as fast as he can, trying to catch up. And he sees that this ship is pulling away, and he sees Aegis kind of run and jump and land on it, but realizes that gap is increasingly getting more and more dangerous. And with very little hesitation, he just kind of keeps running as fast as he can, actually picking up speed. And then as he's kind of getting near, he actually veers off away from the dock, kind of off to the side a little bit, as he has spotted like this small rocky outcropping that kind of rises up a little bit above the docks. And he's going to kind of angle towards that, and he's just going to run and jump right off of the edge of it.
Okay, give me either athletics or acrobatics, depending on how you want to do that.
Definitely going to try acrobatic. That's a 13.
Okay, you make it, but it's not as graceful as you're used to. Maybe it was a little bit further away than you thought, or the outcropping had a little bit of loose footing. But whatever it is, you find yourself on the ship, but on the edge.
Perfect. So yeah, like he lands and actually tries to tumble out of the landing, and he does so, but lands with too much momentum, and so like his tumble carries him like through a full rotation, and he ends up on his face, like hanging over the side of the ship, almost like to his waist, and he kind of has to like, try to throw his arms back and grab a hold of anything he can to keep himself from going over the edge.
Okay, yes. That will bring us to Maul.
Okay. So they're both still alive, correct?
One is dead.
One is dead, and the other one we're just trying to subdue.
The other one, yeah, has been, for all intents and purposes, knocked out.
Oh, knocked out. Okay, so there's. Okay. With those threats dispatched, yeah, Maul will just begin to like just move through this cabin, looking for any signs of the prisoner or prisoners. So if they're not in this room, then just whatever the next immediate door would be.
Yeah, so there's a trap door towards the front of the boat that has a ladder that leads down into the belly of the ship.
Yeah, so he would just like fling open that trap door and then make his way down into the cargo area.
So it is dark and dingy and cramped down there. It's like a half room, if you will. Like the ceiling is, well, the floor is only like a half distance, so you'd have to crouch in here. But you can see huddled in the corner, chained up, are 3 young women.
Okay. I mean, can I make out their features other than their young women?
One of them is the one you recognize as one of the women that was taken from the market. I guess it was yesterday.
The market, okay. Are any of them, are the other two, or one of the other two his daughter?
No,
No.
you do not recognize the other 2.
Okay. Recognizing the girl from the market, he would go to her first, and she's chained.
Yeah, they all are together.
Together. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're chained together, but they're not chained to like the wall or anything.
No.
Okay. So yeah, he would go to the girl in the market, or that he saw in the market. We're here to rescue you. Is there anyone else down here with you?
No, we are alone. Who are you?
Time for introductions later. We must get off this airship. The pathway is clear. My companions will help guide you. Go. And he just kind of like motions for them to head up the stairs out the trap door.
And they kind of hesitate and look at you kind of like maybe this is a trap or something, and then decide to hope that it was freedom and would go.
Okay. Yeah, I would say he would get kind of, with their hesitation, he'd get frustrated and he would just kind of like bark at them and be like, go!
Yeah, that would cause him to jump and probably hurry a little bit. We're effectively out of initiative order, so Aegis and Avelios, you were the last on the ship. What are you doing?
Aegis is going to, first of all, make sure that Avelios does not fall off the side. Just kind of imagine the concert kind of lumbers up to him, just kind of grabs in front of his tunic or whatever armor he's wearing, just kind of pulls him in, just like, that was very graceful, but not quite graceful enough. And then it will step back.
Yes. I thank you very much. But we have made it.
We have. And Aegis will turn and look. Is there any sign of Vitrides or Durnan or Maul above decks, or they're all below decks at this point?
The other three are below decks.
Okay. So Aegis will turn back to you, Avelios, and just say, I will be honest, I am not familiar with the layout of most airships. Do you have any idea where the others might have gone?
Certainly. They could be here in the forecastle or the aft castle, or perhaps even below decks.
Where do you recommend starting first?
Well, Maul was definitely on a mission, and I think he was looking for his daughter, so my guess would be the cargo hold. Should be keeping the slaves if they have them on board.
And that is probably where we'll find Marika Kadera's daughter. Do you want to lead the way, or should I?
By all means. And he kind of gestures towards where he thinks the staircase might be.
Okay, and Aegis will, not really knowing its way around airships, pull out its sword again and head towards the stairs.
Avelios, do you follow?
He does, yes. Being on a ship, he's probably going to draw his sword, just in case.
So as you guys go down, you see three women chained together kind of clamber up a ladder from a trapdoor, followed by Maul. You also see Vitrides and Durnan in the back room. And it looks like they might have a prisoner with them. Durnan, what are you doing?
I imagine I have hold of this guy. Having knocked him out. I don't think I have any manacles, but could I have cast like my spiritual weapon and then chose it in the form of like a large chain link or something to try and like restrain this guy?
How long does spiritual weapon last?
That's a good question. Spiritual weapon lasts for 1 minute. So I guess that wouldn't be necessarily viable. I have rope.
A rope will work.
Rope will probably work better. So I'm going to try and just restrain this guy with rope. Were we still taking off? Can I feel like the lurch of the ship as are we moving still?
Yes. Yep, you still are moving.
So I'm probably trying to shove this guy. Actually, is there anybody by me? Was Avelios by me or Vitrides by me?
I believe Vitrides was further in the room because he shot a crossbow. So unless Vitrides move forward,
I would have entered more, yes.
And this is just kind of like the generic engine room.
Yeah. It's cramped. It's filled with machinery. Whatever makes this ship run. There's strange tanks with blue liquid. You know, that kind of.
Then I'm actually still going to cast spiritual weapon, but I'm going to have my weapon attack part of the engine, like lodge itself in the engine to try and prevent it from moving. Do you want an attack roll?
Yes, please.
All right, we'll take it. We're looking at a 14. To hit.
Yep. Are you trying to damage it?
I'm more so trying to wedge the spear that I usually create, like in sort of some sort of cog or like firing piston to restrain it from firing or continuing its trajectory or course. Not so much breaking as that I am just trying to like seize it up.
Okay, do some roll for damage.
I did a total of 8 damage. Magical damage, or actually, let me check. Force damage.
What was your to hit roll? 14?
Yes.
Okay. You think that you have found the right spot potentially to jam your spiritual weapon into to cause this thing to stop or slow down or somehow to disable this engine. And you fling your spear into this area, and what you do is it definitely lodges in there, but then all of a sudden it grinds and spiritual there's this horrible sound of metal shearing, and one of the cogs kind of breaks, and effectively, yes, you have dismantled the engine.
Looking to this unconscious prisoner, I'll kind of more than one way to skin a cat.
What are the rest of you doing?
So imagine that Ivelios kind of comes down and kind of looks at what's happening, kind of looks up just as Durnan is like hacking at the engine of this airship, and he kind of puts his hand out, no, and it's already too late. Like he's already like done fucked some shit up, and Ivelios is just kind of puts his hands on either side of his head. Perhaps we do not destroy the engine for the airship that we are currently standing on. Maybe it would be a better idea.
We're above the water, ish.
That does not make this better, dwarf.
Some of us can swim.
Must be nice. Some of us don't have to breathe.
Must be nice.
He just will stomp forward, kind of looking at the engine. Although it has no idea how airships work, can it tell that like? So the engine is damaged, obviously, but can it tell like? I don't even know if it would even know this. Like, is it just going to stop the airship from moving? Are we going to fall? Like, can it get some kind of idea from the damage? Might be more of an Avelios thing, but
You have tinker, like you have the ability to use your tinkering.
yeah,
tools,
no,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
So make me a roll. You're not actually tinkering here, but let's use that to
Okay.
see what you can learn.
Okay, so I'll do that. I think it's just intelligence plus proficiency. Ooh, that's real bad. That's a 6.
Yeah, you've got no idea.
So I imagine he just kind of shears that or sees that sheared gear or whatever, what's left of it, kind of pokes at it and looks over its shoulder at Avelios. You might want to take a look at this.
Avelios kind of walks over and says, "My knowledge of the way that the engines work on these is not exactly encouraging, but I will see what I can figure out." So he'll try to figure out, just based on the fact that he's been on airships a lot in his life, anything that he may have picked up during that time that could help figure out what the hell's wrong with this.
I will also mention that Itrides, you are a sailor. You may not have sailed on airships, but they're not that much different from your sailing ship. Some of the bigger ships that you guys use to take in your big hauls have mechanized engines as well to help with the haul.
Charity's kind of picks his teeth. I think I've seen something like this before.
Please, your expertise would be very welcome here.
He walks up to it. He's going to examine the engine. See what's going on. Just a straight up intelligence roll here.
Yeah, and if you're both doing it, one of you can roll and the other could aid as you're talking it out between the two of you.
Go ahead and roll, Connor.
All right. I got a 19 on the die for a total of 19.
Yes, so you know that that it's fixable, but what has broken is not necessarily the actual propulsion system, but the steering mechanism at this point. So you are still moving, but now you have no way to steer.
Good news. This thing will crash and we'll all die. Bad news. I can't steer the damn thing. Wait, no. That's not how that saying works.
Aegis just looks at you, Durnan, shakes its helmeted head, and is just going to stomp off trying to explore the rest of the airship.
You act like you had a better idea.
Well, I probably wouldn't have thrown whatever you threw into the fucking engine. It's going to continue stomping away.
We have a prisoner, right? Like, he's not dead. He was just knocked out.
Yeah, he's currently
I
knocked
just
out.
wanted to make sure that nobody, like, Durnan may have stuck the engine. Hopefully, he didn't stuck the prisoner. So yeah, like as they're like looking over this engine and arguing and blah blah, Maul would just like pick this slaver by his shirt and then like just pull him, like drag him on the floor up over to the wall, and then like heft him up to the wall, and then like just give him a big slap across the face to just wake him up.
And how did you tie him up, Durnan? Just arms and stuff, or did you also like gag him?
I probably tied his hands and bound his, gagged him.
Okay, so you slap him, and you see his eyes kind of flutter, but he kind of mumbles into the gag.
Yeah, he would just kind of like pull the gag out of his mouth. Just it's still tied around him, but it's just down around his neck versus in his mouth. And Maul just stares him down in his most rough, intimidating voice. Where are the other slaves?
Make an intimidation check, please.
That is going to be a 23.
Okay. This guy kind of just shakes in your grip there. Like you've got him. He's just dangling, like his arms are tied. He can't do anything, and he's just dangling there, afraid for his life. And you ask him, the other slaves, we always take him to the island, the edge of the world. That's where we were going. Take these ones too.
He just kind of looks over his shoulder, to see where Evelios is. Do you know where this island is?
Do I know where this island is?
Nope.
No, I've never heard of this place before. It sounds like dwarven territory to me. Darnin? Is this a place that you know about?
I've never heard of it.
Do we know if the prisoners that we seek are there? He kind of calls back to Maul.
She's there. He looks back over at the prisoner. His grip, like, so tight, like it's digging into the flesh around his neck, almost cutting off the air supply at that point. Do you know how to get to this island? Can you steer this ship there?
Yes. I think I can.
You better, or you'll be leaving the ship overboard. And he just lets go and lets him drop to the floor.
And he lands with a thump.
He looks at Evelios as he just kind of walks past him as he's going to head towards the main deck. See if you can get those chains off those girls and put him in them. Tie him to the helm.
Aye, aye, Capitan. He kind of like gives a mock salute. He turns around and looks at this prisoner, kind of looks at the fact that he's bound already, and he says, you wait here. And he kind of like just pushes him back onto his ass, and then he'll turn around and head towards where the girls, he saw the ladies exiting the cargo hold.
Yeah, and they've been standing around in this kind of the sleeping quarters area. They haven't gone up on the deck. They've been watching this all play out in front of them. So they're just waiting there as you approach them.
And I missed it. Are all three of them human?
I didn't actually say. There are, I would say 2 are human and 1 is a bonekin.
Okay. So he kind of sees them kind of where they've kind of hidden or tucked themselves away kind of off to the side. And he kind of approaches, he'll lower the half mask that he wears over the lower part of his face, just to not be quite as threatening. He says, are all of you okay?
Well, we haven't been harmed any more than usual, I guess. Yes?
Good. All of you are free. You're free to go, in a manner of speaking. He kind of looks over his shoulder at the damaged engine. Now, I'm going to remove your chains if you will allow me.
Yes.
All right. And he kind of reaches in and gets his lockpicks, and he's going to set to task.
Okay, make me a roll.
Okay, so this would be dexterity?
Yep.
Or do you want like a sleight of hand, or? I guess it's a thieves picks.
Thieves picks check, yeah, if you have that.
Okay. So I think I do, but I don't think that's one of the ones that I... expertise in? No. Okay. So that is a where's my proficiency? Okay, 19 total.
Yes, that will open these.
Nice. So one by one, as he kind of undoes these, and the manacles kind of fall to the floor with kind of this metallic, with kind of pulled down by the weight of the chain. And after the last one, he kind of says, "Well, you're free to move about the ship. I'm sure there are things around. You could perhaps find some better clothing, maybe some food, some water. But I have some other business to attend to." He's going to kind of collect the manacles and then head back.
Perfect. Atreides, what are you doing at this moment?
Atreides is actually going to try and keep looking at this engine, trying to figure out if he can like salvage a way to just refit it and retrofit it back together to have some kind of actual mechanism work.
Make me an investigate check.
Hey, 2 on the die for a total of 2.
Okay. Yeah, you're looking around and you're not really seeing anything that could replace the piece that you're missing. Aegis. Oh, sorry. Aegis, what would you like to do?
So Aegis left kind of the engine room, and the construct is just going to start, I guess, trying to figure out the layout of the ship. Just go from kind of bottom to top, just trying to see if there's anything interesting, any documents similar to maybe what Avelios found in that secret panel. Just trying to figure out if there's anything of note here. I don't think the construct was present for the whole talk about the island at the edge of the world or anything like that. It left. But just any kind of maps, any kind of charts, anything at all to give us an idea of where they were headed.
So, you don't really find anything like this below decks here.
Right.
It looks like it's more of like the hangout kind of quarters. As you go up above deck, you see the door to the captain's quarters.
Okay. Yeah, Aegis will sort of glance around the deck. I imagine maybe Maul is in the process of coming up to the top deck at this point. She'll sort of not, or it will sort of nod to him and then head into the captain's quarters.
Okay. Durnan, what are you doing?
I'm watching Atreides try to find something to fit, and I'm going to cast Mending on the piece that I broke.
All right, do that.
Well, you see, you're doing it all wrong, laddie.
Some of us can't wave our fingers and undo their own mistakes.
No, some of us just cast lightning bolts at them, aren't we?
That is undoing other people's mistakes.
Whatever you
I
think.
hold out my hand to grab the piece that you smashed.
I'll hand it to you.
And he'll look it over and kind of, not too bad, you know. He doesn't say that out loud, but at least that's what his face says. As he try to repurpose it and fit it back in to make it all work properly again.
And with some tinkering, you are able to replace the damaged cog. Ivelios, what were you doing at this point? You left the women.
I'm headed back to do as I was told, and manacle this fucker.
Okay. Maul and Aegis, you are heading towards the captain's door, I believe.
I don't know if Maul was going with me. I mean, more than welcome to, but Aegis is heading in that direction. Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, he would. Once he got to the main deck and he saw Aegis heading towards the captains, he figured there's probably more information there regarding this island, perhaps a map or something.
So as you open the door to the captain's quarters here, at the sound of the door opening, a man says, Mammon, what is taking so long? What is happening? This is a very rough... And he looks up and sees that it is not Mammon standing there in the doorway. Oh, who are you? And I need you to roll initiative, please. Everyone can do that.
Not so hot this time with a 5.
Wow, you guys all rolled very, very high. Okay, so we have first is Maul.
So yeah, Maul pushes past Aegis and just very abruptly barges in, and with a heavy hand lays his club onto this desk. All the whatever's on this desk like rattles and clinks. Maybe something falls to the ground and shatters, and he stares this man down. The better question is, who are you? And I'd be quick with the answer.
This is my ship. What are you doing on my ship?
Wrong! This is our ship now. And he would just like move his club across the desk and push it into this man's chest, up out of his chair.
Easy, Maul. Easy.
So as you are reaching across, his hands drop down to his sides. And you hear right before, maybe you feel, yes, right before you feel something in your belly, the loud booming sound. And then you smell the sulfur of brimstone as you have just been shot by a dwarven firearm. For 6 points of damage.
Yeah, I imagine there's that flash and the bang as that smoke. And the impact causes Maul to stumble back into just some, maybe some furniture or something as it crashes, as he holds his gut.
Like I said, this is my ship, and you are not welcome here. And as you are flying back from the shot, that is when you see the corner of your eye, the young girl from the market, and she begins to sing. I need you to make a wisdom save, please. In fact, I need everybody on board to make a wisdom save, please.
Total of 7.
Okay, so Aegis and Ivelios, you resist this, this song, but the rest of you are charmed. You can only, on your action, move towards the sound of this song. That will bring us to Ivelios.
Ivelios kind of takes stock of what's happening, and I'm assuming this is the same kind of situation we found ourselves in a few times now, both with the drowned when we faced them during the storm, and then like some of the human children that we had just seen were doing this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the source is obvious, like she's outwardly singing.
Yeah, you can't see that because you are down below deck. But
Okay.
definitely Maul could see that from where he's at.
Okay. Have I managed to chain this guy?
Yes.
Okay, so Avilius is finishing up with this manacle, kind of like hammering in the last end, and he hears this noise. He hears this gunshot first, and then he hears this noise, and he turns. No. And he turns, and he's going to run towards the stairs as fast as he can and kind of mount them up towards the deck. I don't know how far away they are, but again, I can dash as a bonus if I need to.
Yeah, with the dash, you can get up the stairs and probably almost all the way to the captain's quarters. You can at least see inside.
And that's where the singing's coming from?
Yes, the singing is coming from in there. And as you approach, you can see this elf at the desk. At the desk in front.
Okay. Dashing with a bonus, getting to there. Am I in range of whomever is singing? Do I even see who's singing?
No, she's around the corner. You can hear, and definitely the sound is loud and coming from in this room. You, however, cannot see her at the moment.
Okay. In that case, seeing the smoking gun in this elf's hand, he's going to very, very quickly, as he's approached this door, pull his short bow out, knock an arrow, draw back, and fire.
Okay, make me a roll.
Okay, that is a 15.
That will hit.
Excellent. And is Maul still adjacent to him?
No, Maul kind of stumbled back, so he would be, just out of, kind of in front of him, but you can shoot around him for sure.
Okay, but no sneak attack damage because he's no longer engaged.
That's right.
Okay, so 4 points of piercing as he loses this arrow at this guy.
Okay. You recognize this man as well. This is none other than Frinromir Anto.
Does he have a title that I would know of?
No, I don't think he would, probably go by Lord, but officially he doesn't really have a title.
Okay. So, Ivelios kind of shoots and notices this man, and very, very quickly he pulls that half mask kind of back over the lower portion of his face.
Perfect. That'll bring us to Itrides.
Itrides is under the spell of this song and will use his turn to move towards it.
Okay, and you can move 30?
Yeah, I have a speed of 30. Yeah.
Okay, so you can, basically you are right behind where Ivelios is at this moment.
Okay.
And you get to roll your wisdom save again.
I got a 9 total.
Okay, you are still under the spell.
Yep.
Durnan, you are also charmed, I believe.
Yes, I was.
So from where you're at, you make it to the top of the stairs, moving towards the sound.
That
You
is
can-
what I'm gonna do.
Okay, and you may also make another saving throw.
Damn it! Total of 11.
That actually succeeds.
Oh,
So you are no longer under the spell. Aegis.
So after seeing Maul get blown back by this firearm and then seeing this arrow whiz over its shoulder, the construct looks back and sees Avelios, and then it turns its attention back to this elf. And it is going to slash at the elf. I'm just saying it would be in your best interest if you made her stop singing, and it's going to attack twice. The first one is a 17, and this is going to be non-lethal, by the way.
17 hits.
Okay. I'll roll a second attack as well, and the second attack is more than that. So first hit, only 4 points of magical slashing. Second one is 7 points of magical slashing. As I imagine, Aegis is pulling its blows just a little bit, so the cuts are more shallow, and it kind of carves an X across the elf's torso, keeping an eye on the singing girl as well as Maul and the elf.
Okay, so as you etch this mark on this guy's chest, apparently the sight of his own blood causes him to faint. And he crumples in front of you as you've done enough non-lethal to knock him out.
Oh.
Maul.
I am enchanted
You are.
by this siren song. So he was sitting there just kind of like holding his gut as the blood pools around his hand and spills. But then I would imagine like his eyes just kind of glaze as he looks over at this siren, and her visage kind of mirages into that of his daughter, and he calls out, one hand bloodied but held out in front of him as he's like, Shell, as he's like stumbles towards her, thinking that it's his daughter. I guess I would go ahead and make my save again.
Yep.
Okay. No, that's even worse. That's a 3. So.
Okay. So you step towards her, reaching out, and she reaches back out to you, and she continues to sing. And as you approach, she will grab you, and it's almost like you hear the words daddy or something in your head, and she kind of clambers up and she gives you a kiss. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Now that I'm proficient in. So I got a 25.
Okay, so as she's kissing you, you feel your lungs fill with ether. You manage to make the save. So you're going to take half damage. So you're going to take 9 points of psychic damage. Sorry, half that. So 4 points of psychic damage. And your hit point maximum decreases by that number as well.
Yeah, I imagine. Well, I mean, he was already hurt from the battle beforehand. Now he's more hurt, and he just like grabs his head as he is forced down to his knees, succumbed by this enchantment.
And that actually brings us to Ivelios. The elf has collapsed upon his desk. The creature is still singing.
He knocks another arrow and kind of strafes into the room, turning in the direction of this singing, trying to clear around the corner or whatever that was causing him to not be able to see her before. Is he able to get a direct angle on her?
Yes, if you come into the room, like she is pretty much occupied right now with Maul. So go for it.
As he does so, he kind of spots this child, again, younger than he at first thought. And he kind of closes his eyes for a second and he says, "Forgive me, child." And then he fires. So because Maul is engaged with her, he should have advantage.
Yeah, I would absolutely say that. Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. Not advantage on the attack. It's that qualifies for sneak attack.
Yeah.
So, okay. That's a 17 plus. It's a 23 to hit.
Oh, yeah, that hits.
Beautiful. All right. From the short bow itself, there's going to be 5. And then the sneak attack is going to deal an additional 17 points.
You can describe how you down this creature and end the song.
So again, he kind of closes his eyes momentarily and says his apologies to this pitiful creature, and then looses his arrow. But it's a shot of mercy more than anything else, both for them and for this once human child. And the arrow buries itself to its fleshing, since this was not a lot of distance between them, basically just into her right eye. So her eye socket is now kind of strange, bloody, feathered flower as she stops singing, and then kind of slumps against Maul.
And with that, the song ends. So does the enchantment. Durnan, Itrides, and Maul, you come back to your senses. We're out of initiative. What are you guys doing?
Aegis is going to move toward the unconscious, slightly bleeding elf. And Velios and Maul would just hear the construct say, "I am growing so tired of this, of us having to constantly fight these things that were once children. These people have a great deal to answer for." And this gauntleted hand just grabs the elf kind of by the front of his robes, yanks him up roughly, and Aegis is just going to, not gently at all, try and smack him back into consciousness with his left hand. Just kind of wham across the face, try to wake him up.
Absolutely. And he moans and wakes, and almost immediately you can see the mark on his face where you've hit him start to redden and discolor.
And the construct will lean in these blue pools of light that are its eyes, just sort of flaring brightly as it says, "So this is your airship, as you told us numerous times. Where is your airship going? And how far away are we from this place?"
And he looks at you, and he looks at Ivelios and Maul, and he looks at the young girl now dead in the corner. And he trembles. I'd like you to make an intimidation check, please.
Ooh, how am I at those? I'm not bad at those. All right, let's see. You know what? I'm a burn one of my points of inspiration because I really want to intimidate this guy. That is a dirty 20.
Oh, yeah. And he does. He continues to tremble, and he's like, days. It's days away. We've traveled to the edge.
And what is at the edge?
He's got a compound there. We take the girls there.
Have you all made a trip recently where you ferried a young human girl with a white eye patch over one eye to this place at the edge of the world, or at the edge?
I don't remember all of the cargo, but...
Aegis will kind of lift its left gauntleted hand again.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Insight check? Insight check.
Roll.
That's a 15.
This guy has absolutely no idea. He probably is telling the truth. He has no idea. He's just telling you what you want to hear.
So I think in a surprising fit of frustration, Aegis will just throw this elf back onto the desk, and it'll look over its shoulder at Evelios and Maul and say, I don't know what we should do with him. I don't know if we need to hang on to him or if we should just throw him overboard, but I'll leave that decision up to you two. And then it's going to actually walk out of the captain's cabin if it can.
I want you to make a perception check as you are throwing this elf back onto the desk.
Okie doke. Man, all these natural ones. That's a 6.
Okay. You don't see anything.
So as this elf kind of lands on the desk and, furthermore kind of scatters the papers and knocks over an inkwell, Avelios kind of moves over to where this elf is, and as he's kind of putting his bow back over his torso, it appears that you have made a lot of people very, very angry. I fear for your safety, Lord Onto.
At that, he grows even more still.
Go ahead, sorry.
What do you want from me?
The information. We are looking for 2 very, very important targets. We need to find them. Then, if you help us to find them, maybe I can discuss things with my friends and convince them that you are not directly involved in the atrocities that we have witnessed. If not, I'm afraid that either my metallic friend or the one with the horns is going to toss you over the side of the ship.
Oh,
if you wanted to end that way.
No. I help you, you let me live.
You're introducing new parts of our agreement. I said I might be able to convince them that you were not directly involved in the atrocities. I am not certain I can guarantee that you live, but I will certainly try my best.
What do you want to know?
As they asked, there is a girl, a human girl, with an eye patch of white. There is also a Bonekin girl, and he kind of looks at Maul. She would resemble him.
They all look alike to me.
That's a terrible, terrible answer. He's actually going to lean up, reach up, and where this guy's kind of laid back, he's just going to bend his finger backwards over the edge of the desk. Just lean on it.
Oh, and I can imagine that You hear the sounds as they kind of pop. And he screams in pain. I don't know them.
Have you ever heard of another person named Windrider?
How well known are you?
I am an assassin for hire.
No. Should I know of you?
No, maybe not, but you will before this is all through. Sometimes the people who hire me do not want it to be quick and easy. I can assure you that I have an array of methods of making it last a very long time, if I must.
Imagine his face goes more pale than he already was as he realizes this is what you're talking about. I'll help. I don't know. There's been too many.
Very well. Then maybe you can help us in other ways. What do we expect at this place when we arrive?
They're expecting a shipment. There will be men there waiting to take our cargo and to load more on. They will be expecting me in 2 days.
He kind of looks to Maul. Then I think perhaps we should keep him alive, no?
He's like grits through his teeth that are full of blood. As long as he remains useful.
You hear that? He kind of pats the guy on his shoulder as if like he's completed part of this bargain in his head.
I will get you there.
I thought you would. And when we get there, I think you will also help us to get inside without tipping off your friends of what's going on.
And he looks at all of you, at Maul, at you. I can get you and that metal thing. I cannot disguise that.
Oh, no. I do not think a disguise will be necessary. You are Lord Onto. I am certain your prestige. This is your airship, after all. Surely you can just make an excuse for us to be there.
You can see he's kind of floundering, like you keep calling him this lord and he can tell you just don't really mean it, and he's like, it may be my airship, but it's his compound.
Very well. I have a new set of jewelry for you to wear. Come.
I would like you to also make a perception check as you have been leaning over this elf.
Perception?
Mm-hmm.
That's a
I'm sorry, what did you get?
A 21?
Okay. So as you have been leaning over it, part of his robes kind of like opened a little bit, and you could see inside on a chain, there's a carving. There's like this obsidian carving around his neck of a rose.
Does this look familiar to me?
Yeah, it's actually the same pattern that was on the wall in the depression that you saw. It is also, make me an insight check, please.
I rolled a 1, so 4.
Okay, no. Yeah, no, so it matches what you have seen in the house, I guess by the safe.
Um, Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, he's going to take it off of him. He's going to attempt to.
He will kind of stammer and fight you a little bit, but then looking at your face, he stops. He doesn't resist any further, knowing the look that you have in your eyes. He can only see your eyes, and he lets you take it.
We'll consider it collateral for now.
All right. And so then you lead him away and manacle him. We are going to take a short bio break right here. So thank you, everyone. And we will be back in 5 to 10 minutes to carry on.
I'm back.
Beautiful. I think we're waiting for a couple more people. Thank you everyone for watching now and in the future. Pretty excited about where this where this group has taken us.
Alan, you're talking about the car commercial.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I watched the D&D cartoon as a kid, but not religiously the way I did with a lot of other cartoons. But I remember seeing it as a kid, and they did a really, really good job with this.
Yeah.
It was cool.
They did. I had to I have the box set here, so I just popped it in the background the other day, and it's like it's so cheesy and campy like most of the 80s to 90s cartoons were, but like if you just watch it, it's quite literally like each episode is like in itself just one little, it's like a little D&D one shot. There's a setup, there's the investigation, there's a battle, and then and it all wraps up. Every episode all wraps up. So
yeah, I got the box set for Christmas from somebody, I think my sister or my mom or somebody like that, and I've watched a couple of them, but it's definitely hard for me to sit down and binge watch.
yeah, like I said, I just had it on in the I was working
Yeah.
on stuff. I just had it on in the background.
It's like Masters of the Universe. I went back and started trying to watch He-Man. Oh God, it's so bad. I couldn't make it through more than one episode, and I was like, nope, sorry, Pass Jeremy, too much.
Especially like with like was it He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers,
Ninja Turtles,
Thundercats.
Thundercats. There was just there was just that point where, well, one, they were commercials for toys essentially, and the other part is because they were commercials for toys, the broadcasting, they had to always have some sort of like message, right?
Yeah.
Moral message at the end of the episode. What did we learn today about in this episode?
Knowing is half the battle.
Exactly.
To this day. Oh man. I'm hoping that they actually do make another Dungeons and Dragons movie and that it's actually worth a damn.
Well, supposedly it's there's a script in writing, and it's from that Joe Manganiello guy. Yeah.
That he's been shopping it around.
And he's basing it off, I think he's trying to adapt the Dragon of Twilight Dragonlance series.
Oh, nice. Dragonlance would be a cool movie.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think there's enough popularity it might get picked up, but who knows?
They need to. The D&D iron is hot right now, like hotter than it's ever been, and now would be the time to do it.
Absolutely.
Cast half of Critical Role if you have to. But it would be good. It would be exciting to see a good D&D movie. And like the ones that they did on the Sci-Fi Channel, like they were okay. They were certainly better than the Jeremy Irons movie that came out. But they definitely had the budget of like a Hercules Xena kind of level.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I enjoyed the Hercules and Xena thing. I admit that the D&D, the first movie, I think it was just called Dungeons and Dragons. That one was the one that followed, which wasn't, I don't no, I think it was a sequel, but it was like, I don't know, decades in the future. It was like Wrath of the Dragon or something like
Wrath
that.
of the Dragon Gods. That's what
That's
it was.
when that's when it wasn't bad because it actually was more true to third edition D&D at the time.
Exactly.
And if you watch the commentary in the back, director comment or whatever, they actually reference a lot. They had the actors actually had to read stuff out of the D&D player's guide and stuff like that. So it was more true to D&D, but it wasn't, it wasn't really a movie. It was more just like watching live play actors.
Right. No, like a modernized one with like great special effects and like where they can actually find people who both are gifted actors and understand like the terminology or the setting and get it. It would be so awesome to watch. Then you have stuff like the Darkness Rising,
Yes.
like parodies. Some of those are really good.
It was good. It was funny. Did you watch the it wasn't they did like a Shadowrun version, but it was like a mini series on their YouTube channel or whatever.
I hadn't seen that. I'll have to track it down.
No, it's good. It's like I think 4 episodes or something like that. And they have a couple of those series like that on their YouTube channel. Not a full-blown movie per se like they did with Darkness Rising or Gamers. But it's the same people, so it's pretty good. Definitely recommend it.
There was also I mean, it's not quite the same thing, but the Knights of Badassdom. Like
Yes.
movie. I was really into that movie. I was like, this is awesome. This is hilarious. This is such a terrible but great film. And then like the very, very end of it happened, and it was just like, ugh, it was like this taste in my mouth just turns completely sour. And I was like, no. What a horrible way to end this film.
What, you didn't like Peter Dinklage rocking it out? Oh, spoilers! By the way.
Uh-oh. Are we getting back into this, or we're trying to make a decision? I'm just talking about movies over here.
All right, I think we are all back. Okay, so you guys have managed to manacle both Finromir and one of the cronies of the ship. And they have agreed to take you to where they were originally scheduled. A couple of days will pass, so you guys can do any healing, all that kind of thing that you need to do for 2 days. So you can take care of that on your sheets. While you are flying, Atrides, at one point as you're flying, you feel this pull come over you, this pull from down in the depths far below. You feel the stirring of something big, something colossal. And maybe it frightens you, but it also excites you at the same time. This is a pull that you have felt before, but it has never been so strong as it has now in the long night. What goes through your mind as this feeling comes over you?
Atreides stops whatever he's doing. He's in the middle of something, but that doesn't matter. He stops. And this may be even to be to the dismay or just the confusion of those who he's with. He puts down his things. He walks over to the edge of the ship, looks down. Though it is dark, he cannot see. He stares into this abyss nonetheless. He lifts his leg, beginning to climb onto the railing of the ship. And then another, as he's standing on the railing. The wind buffets him. He's mere inches from toppling off the edge. Who is it that is with who sees this happen?
The Maul would be there, and before he topples, he would just kind of like his heavy hand would fall upon your shoulder, just kind of holding you there as you stare over the edge.
And as you place your heavy hand on my shoulder, it's as if you woke me from my sleep. I look confused. I'm looking around. I'm looking down at my hands where I'm standing. And almost in a frightful leap, I kind of just start backwards, just in a startled jump, and kind of topple a bit backwards onto the deck of the ship. You realize that my skin is clammy, as if a nervous cold sweat has broken over every square inch of my skin. And I'm breathing fast and hard, as if I'm out of breath. I'm reeling from an intense migraine now, as if everything is too bright of light to see. The fuck just happened?
Are you not taking well to the air?
How'd I get here?
Do you know where you are?
Yeah, I was in the cabin, just eating my soup. And he's referring to the moment before he started just to walk off strangely.
You do not look well. Maybe it's best you rest. You'll need your strength for the battle ahead.
And I get up to my feet. And I look out to the darkness that is beyond the ship, and I still swear I can see something. Something that lurks in the corners of your vision. You know how, when it is dark, the corners of your eyes can see more than what's direct ahead. This is the sensation that Atreides is feeling, as he cannot pinpoint what he sees, but he sees it in the corners of his eyes, in the abyss that spawns out from under the ship. But he's comforted by you, Maul. He looks at you. He nods. Yeah, I should get some rest. He walks back. You notice that when he walks back, he is barefoot. You do not know where his shoes have gone. He was wearing them before, that he's no longer wearing them now. And his toes are strange. They end in hooks. There's a strange kind of webbing that forms between the toes. Atreides makes no note of this as he walks back, though the weird slick puddles of footprints would follow behind him as he makes his way to wherever he goes.
And the hours pass relatively uneventfully. Times you can see the stars above, and then the clouds would roll in, and there would be nothing. But onwards, you keep flying. Till finally, sometime later, you can see the mists gather on the horizon, and you know that you're approaching the edge of the world. And yet the ship continues to sail directly towards it. Eventually, it is so close, and you know you're not stopping. You are going over the edge into the void. And as you pass the edge, you look down and you can see these contraptions built onto the edge in the mist. What is going through your mind as you are leaving the world as you know it behind and heading out into the beyond?
I think as they got closer to the edge and they weren't seeing anything there, Ivelios would have retrieved the Lord Onto and kind of brought him on deck and pointed out in front of them and discussed what exactly is going on. And now that they're like leaving the edge of the world, he's like shaking this guy. Where is this place? Where are you taking us?
I told you. We go to the edge of the world.
We have reached the edge of the world, and there it is going.
Yes. And I know you won't trust me, but our destination is ahead. It's there in the mists.
There is nothing ahead. This is the world. We are leaving it behind.
What better place to hide than where no one will look for you?
This is beyond dangerous. This is foolish.
I've made this trip before. We just need to follow the chain. And as he says that, he points and you can look down, and from these contraptions on the side, you can see now a massive chain that stretches out directly sideways out into the nothing. And your ship is right above it, going into the mist, where the chain is also heading out into the mist. We just follow the chain. We will be there shortly. But I suggest you hang on. The road will get a little bumpy. And with that, he will try to turn and go more like away from the edge, if you'd let him.
Yeah, I'll pull him back away from the edge and tell him that he needs to make himself ready for getting us off board.
And with that, he is actually going to take you down below decks, where in a like a lockbox there are some additional like guard uniforms, each of them emblazoned with a rose on its chest, and he hands them out to the four of you, not to Aegis, but the other four. He says, put these on. Be part of my crew.
Yeah, Ivelios will do so without hesitation.
Yeah, Maul would put on probably not the whole uniform, but like just enough to get the gist.
Yeah, Durnan will put on what piece of the uniform is applicable.
Atrides, do you as well?
Yes.
Perfect. So as you guys are putting on these uniforms, the ship passes into this dense fog, this mist that's all around. And you can feel the ether in the air that you are now breathing. Each of you need to make a con save. You can choose to fail if you want to.
Does this apply to Aegis, who does not breathe?
Aegis does not have to breathe. Yeah, so Aegis does not have to do this.
Got it.
Total
I
of
got an
17.
Okay, so Atrides failed. And Durnan, how did you do?
Total of 17.
Okay, so only Atrides failed on this one. So Atrides, first make a d4 roll and add that onto your stability score, and then roll a d6 for a boon and a d6 for a bane.
5 boon, 6 bane. And rolled a 1 on the d4.
Okay. So 5 boon. You feel the breath of the Colossia filling your lungs. You will gain 10 feet of movement to your base speed until you finish a short or long rest. And what did you get on the bane?
6.
6. Roll twice.
I got a 3 and a 5.
Okay. The ether physically alters you in some fashion. You will roll on a chart associated with your race. And you said you also got a 5?
Mm-hmm.
Your senses are dulled as your mind races with internal thought. You will take a -1 penalty to your proficiency bonus for the next roll a d6.
5.
So for the next 50 minutes, you have a -1 penalty.
All right.
But you get to roll on your chart. You are human.
I am.
So that is a d8, please.
A 2.
Your skin becomes very pale, taking on a green, blue, or gray tint.
All right.
So about half of that time is going to pass, Atrides, before you actually get to the destination. So you'll be down to about 20 minutes afterwards. So as you're flying through this mist, you can barely see anything. However, that you can, if you're looking for it, see the chain below you as the man that you've chained to the helm is following it to the destination. And at one point, shortly thereafter, it's not that it clears, but you can see, I don't have it open. you can see something through the mist as you're approaching. Here we go. All of a sudden, there is this floating island where there wasn't before. It is attached to that chain that is straight out from that was straight out from the edge of the world, from those big, I don't know what you want to call them, collectors, if you will. And as you're flying, you see this kind of complex, this island. And as you get closer, you can see that there are people on it moving around, moving boxes, moving crates. Looks like they're expecting some sort of cargo to come in, and they're preparing for it, and they're preparing return cargo as well. Is there anything you want to do before you make your final approach?
Yes, if possible. So I imagine while Anto was providing everybody else with uniforms, Aegis is going to, if possible, see if it can locate wherever Evelios put the scrolls and the documents from the office back in the other complex, just to see if there's any information it can glean that might help with this, since I don't know if Evelios has had a chance to look at it over the course of the voyage.
Evelios, you were the last one. You put them on your person, so...
Yeah, if there had been time over the course of the voyage and stuff, he certainly would have been going through them to see if there was anything that he, could find out. And he would have been freely sharing that with anyone within our group.
Absolutely. So we'll start with the journals. As you open them, you see that they're kind of like ledgers, like business ledgers, explaining like the cargo in, exports out, basically the whole business of the Barterdom of Bounty, and this whole trade that's going on. So the best that you can tell is that the name Mazeppa keeps, or was it Mazeppa? Yeah, Mazeppa keeps coming up in these ledgers. They supply metal and brimstone and other goods, and in return, it looks like Anto and them will supply ether in some form or another, as well as you can see every once in a while there'll be a rose by an entry, and it's just listed as cargo. When you open up the big scroll, you see a map. It's a large map of the Seas of Essence. And there's a confusing array of lines in all various colors that follow this kind of like snake path throughout the seas. It'll be yellow, and then there's a blue and a green. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to you. You can make an insight check if you'd like. Anyone who's looking at the map can do so.
I have a +5 to insight, so if someone wants to give me advantage, that might help. Okay, cool. All right, so let's see. That is a 21 and a natural 20 for a 25.
Yeah, so as you're puzzling this out and looking at all these lines, you kind of put it together that maybe these are the routes that Bounty takes throughout the seas as it travels to and fro, so that at any point they know where to return to, as it never stays put. The other thing you notice on this map is there is a heart just off the edge of the world. Not a heart, sorry, a rose just off the edge of the world. Almost like exactly where you are right now.
These rose symbols that we keep seeing, do they have any particular colors? Are they black roses? Are they red roses? Are they white roses? Is there any color at all?
They're just ink, but I would like you to make an insight check, please.
Right. That is a 15.
They match the rose that you saw on the bottom of that statuette. And I believe it also matches the one that you have around your neck.
So I kind of imagine that, like, at some point over the course of the voyage, Avelios was probably poring over these documents, and Aegis was just sort of looming over, probably blocking some of the reading light. And it notices this, and Avelios, it just sort of moves you out of the way as it kind of looks at the rose symbols, and it looks over to you, and it kind of reaches down into the breastplate and pulls out the miniature rose carved of obsidian at the end of a silver chain, and it says, "Have you seen something like this before? These markings look very similar." And it sort of twists the rose around in its gauntleted fingers.
Yeah, Avelios kind of stares at it dumbfounded for just a split second, and then produces the necklace that he took from Frenrimar, and kind of dangles it out of his hand. You mean like this one?
Are they the same, Karen?
Well, not exactly the same. The one that you have around your neck is much more exquisitely crafted than the one that Avelios is holding. But you can see that someone has attempted to catch the essence as best as possible.
And Aegis is silent again, almost becoming like a statue as it just stares at this, because this is the whole reason why it's here. Is this girl had this Urstag statuette that had this rose symbol carved into the bottom of it, and it looks down at its own rose, kind of looking at the stem, looking at the Elvish word for flower, which is carved into the side of this stem, which is Zara, and it looks at that. It looks at the lesser rose in Avelios's hand. And it says, "Something's going on here. I have no idea what it is, but it is an imperfect copy, but I have never seen another rose like this one before."
I took this off of the prisoner's neck. And this book, and he kind of taps the journal, kind of sitting on the corner of the desk, is filled with them. It is marked with the word cargo, and I can only assume it means slaves.
And Aegis will straighten up and look at you, Avelios. How close are we? Do we know how close we are to this destination? Do we have time to talk to him about this? Potentially, it could be important. I don't know. I'm assuming I'm not going to be able to go with all of you, though. And it almost, if a construct of wood and metal could look uncomfortable, it does look uncomfortable, sort of shifting its weight from boot to boot. It feels wrong for me not to go with you, but I also understand I cannot be easily disguised. Can't just slap a uniform on a reborn and pretend it's somebody else.
Aegis.
Could be a man in armor.
I couldn't hear you very well, Connor.
Could be a man in armor.
Something's going on with your mic, Connor.
Could be a man in armor, I think is what he said. Yeah, okay, yeah.
That is true.
You know, it just... Our people do not view your kind in a very good light.
I know.
But when I was younger, my mother used to tell me about monsters. And there are many people who would consider you such a creature. But as I grew, I came to learn that the real monsters are the ones who run operations like this. He kind of gestures for the ship around them. So I have to say, whenever I am facing monsters, it is good to know that someone is looking out for me.
The helmeted head tilts a little, and the construct doesn't say anything for a moment, and then it says very quietly, I do not know why I am this way. I know we've talked about this before, but you're right. Maybe I made this decision. I made this choice. But there has always been this need, this urge that I have had to protect people specifically, and it holds up one finger, specifically elves. And I don't know why. I do not remember who I was before I became this, but at the same time, if nothing else, I'm glad that I have at least encountered you and Itrides and Maul, even Durnan. They're not bad people. It's just, it is strange to not have a past, I suppose.
Well, perhaps whoever you were, whatever drove you to make the decision to do what has been done, maybe it was because you had no choice. Maybe the kind of person that you are now is a reflection of who you were.
I hope that is so, but I suppose we will see. Maybe I can find some other way to accompany all of you onto the island proper. Maybe attempt to creep in undetected to the best of my ability, while you and Lord Anto and the others are infiltrating through the front door.
This is a slave ship. It may not be the best solution, but perhaps if you are not too adverse to the idea, we could have you pose as a slave.
We haven't seen them take any reborn slaves, though. It's always been Bonekin, elves, or humans. Also, there's girls on board here somewhere. I'm sure it would be in our best interest to keep an eye on them, make sure they're safe.
It's also a good plan.
And again, the construct looks at you, Evelios, and says, "Be careful." And then it'll turn and walk out.
I know that Maul is familiar with water vehicles, and this is a ship, so the tech may be different, but the gist of how to work a ship is pretty much the same. And I know Itrides has that same sort of working knowledge. I don't know if any other members have that proficiency in water vehicles, but I imagine that myself and at least Itrides, we could perform the normal actions of manning the ship. So we would definitely look as part of the crew. securing ropes and rigging and retracting the sails and everything as we pull closer to this floating island to at least continue the illusion of being part of the crew.
And as you approach, Frinramir beckons to you, Ivelios.
He'll approach. Yes.
They will be expecting the cargo.
Is it not something that they come on board to collect?
They do, but if they do not find any, they will suspect.
How many men should we expect to encounter?
It's usually half dozen. I can take you through, but if there's nothing for them to find here, the alarms will raise almost immediately.
Very well. Stay here. He's going to find the three girls, and he's going to kind of walk up like rubbing the back of his neck, like really not comfortable with what he's going to have to propose. So whenever he finds them, he'll walk up to them. I hate to ask this of you, but if we pull into this port and they do not find the cargo that they are expecting to find, it would be very, very dangerous, very, very quickly. He kind of hopes that might be like obvious enough for them to kind of fill in the blanks so that he doesn't have to say them.
So this was all a trick? You're giving us to them?
No, we have come for other slaves. We intend to free all of you, but if we have to fight them here when we first arrive, our chances of success are not good. It is a ruse. You understand?
And they all look at each other and they look down. And you can see that they are not comfortable. They're not happy with this. There's no other way.
He kind of turns and looks at the rest of the group as if, like, somebody please save me.
We will not let them take you. I mean, they will have to, technically they will have to take you, but we will not let them keep you. I promise you will not remain in those chains for long.
You promise?
I do. And Aegis will step forward towards whichever of the three girls seems to be maybe older, a little more mature. And it'll kind of look into her eyes and just say, and when I make a promise, I keep it.
Again, they're silent. They look at each other. If you promise, you won't leave us here.
No, I won't leave you here. My name is Aegis, and though I'm not entirely sure what the proper word is, it is derived from the Elvish word for protector. It is what I do. It is what I have always done for as long as I remember. You will not be left behind. And it will kind of rest one gauntleted hand on the girl's shoulder and then stand up and kind of step back, give her some space.
Nivelios is kind of looking over his shoulder from where he was talking to these three girls, like at Aegis, and kind of gives Aegis an eye, like, really? And then he turns around and he's all friendly and smiling again at these three girls. See? Everything will be fine.
All right. If you say it's the only way.
If there was another, I would much rather. I can assure you. And he kind of reaches behind his back and produces the manacles, two of the sets. I guess the third set is still on the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
No, we probably would have tied him up with rope again so that we have all three, because there's three. They're probably expecting three. So.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, Atreides could probably steer. So, yeah, I imagine we would bind him and gag him again and put him down in the cargo hole.
Yeah, keeping it below decks would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they will go back down into the belly, manacled, and where they were when you first found them. What did you guys do with the bodies that you...
Probably threw them overboard.
Overboard. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think if there's no way for Aegis to reasonably go with the group, then what it would probably do is it would probably post up down below decks as well, not in an obvious position, but just in a place where it could sort of watch the girls and maybe keep an eye on the guard that we had incapacitated, if there's no feasible way that it could join the rest of the party.
So during this couple of days of travel, where has your rose been? Has it been hidden?
I imagine, especially when we crossed past the edge, once we went beyond the edge, that Aegis would be looking at it a little more. It's the only thing that it has as a relic of who it was before it became this. Sort of contemplating it, contemplating the mist and the darkness all around. So I imagine it would be hidden most of the times, but maybe a few times when the construct was above deck, it would be visible.
Something at one of these points when you are staring out and you're looking at this at your amulet there, that maybe after the talk with Avelios and the map, so it's more in your the forefront of your mind. One of these points, the elf Frinmir actually catches a glance and sees it, and he immediately looks at you and is like, "Where did you get that?"
And Aegis will just turn its helmeted head, look at him, and just say, first, tone. Secondly, I have had this for as long as I can remember. I have come to understand that you had one as well before Avelios relieved you of it.
Who are you?
I am Aegis.
He will want to see you.
Who is he?
The master, the one who we're heading towards.
I don't think anyone has asked, who is this person? What is this person?
He is the one who guides us. This is his plan. We follow.
Does he have a name? And if you say God, I'm going to smack you again.
His name is Kadir.
And Aegis will stop and say that again.
Kadir.
And the construct will tuck the rose back into its breastplate, feeling, probably for the first time in a very long time, this strange uncertainty. Something doesn't feel right. That name, it seems familiar, but it doesn't know who or how or where. It heard that name before. That name, Kadir, is that an elvish? It's an elvish name. Is this an elf? An elf like you? A Valilam or a dream deal?
Yes.
Where is he from?
I don't know. He's been here as long as I've known him.
I would like to meet him as well. Is there a way that I can see him without drawing too much attention to myself?
Attention you will draw, but you show that, and he motions to your rose. You'll see him.
Why do you say that he would want to see me? I'm curious.
He's been looking, I think, for you.
For me, specifically.
The bearer of that. And he points to that again.
And Aegis would straighten and just say, yes, I will see this Kadir then. One way or the other.
So as you approach the final leg here, what do you do with Frenramir?
I mean, we need him to be wherever he would normally have to be for this kind of approach and, kicking off this exchange. So if he's meant to be on deck to receive, borders or whatever, then that's where I think we would have him.
Yeah, no, he looks down and motions to how you've bound him. And he's like, this will have to go. And you follow me in. The men will take care of the cargo. We will go inside.
Very well. Know this. If you double cross us, it will be the very last thing that you do.
I believe you.
I hope that you do.
And when we're going in, make it seem you are guarding that one. And he nods his head towards Aegis.
Kind of looks where he's indicating. Nods.
And Aegis, who was originally planning to stay below decks with the girls and everything, will be on the top deck, I guess, with the rest, and just nod as well.
So as you pull in and dock, the tethers are thrown down and tied up. The men don't really like they glance at you. They see that you're wearing the armor, and they don't really pay attention as they board the ship to go below. Some are already hauling some cages with one has a scorched in it, big brute. The other has another bone, a broken. And they're pulling these cages toward the ship as you're coming to dock. And Firmamir just looks ahead, doesn't look at you, and then starts to walk off the ship towards the front door of the compound.
Avelios doesn't skip a beat. He kind of gets behind Aegis and kind of almost puts like a hand on the construct's back and kind of gives a shove that looks rougher than it really is. And he says, "Move."
And Aegis would move. Can the construct see as we're sort of moving towards the front door? Can it see where these girls are being taken? I understand they haven't been to our ship yet, but can she see a place where they would potentially take these women in at some point, like a side entrance or something like that? Maybe with guards? You're muted, Karen.
Of course I am. It's hard to tell with all the movement, but
right.
You can see kind of in the area where the cages are being brought from, that there's some sort of entrance there that possibly leads down into this floating rock that you find yourself on.
Okay.
The chance that it's there.
Gotcha. So you would just make a mental note of that for when we hopefully recover these young women, because that's totally how this is going to go down. Totally. All right.
So as you walk inside, this place is not opulent. It's almost clinical in its look. Very minimalist. And Firmamir just kind of leads you down a hallway and eventually to a set of stairs that leads down into the rock below. And he just looks back at you once, makes a nod towards the stairs, and then proceeds down, expecting you to follow. And as you go down the stairs, you walk another short hallway where he then turns into a room. And he opens this door, and the sight that you are greeted with is almost horrific. There are rows upon rows of beds, and in each bed there is a woman. Each of these women are tied while they have tubes that enter into their back of their head, and some sort of bluish liquid that's glowing seems to be dripping into them. As well, you notice that further back in the room as you go, you notice that each of these women, what you can tell now is that each of these women are pregnant. The ones further in the back of the room are much further along than the ones in the front. And each of these women have a tube. I won't go into details of where it's coming from, leaving their body that has some sort of bright red. You can't even call it a liquid. It's almost like a liquid, a gas, and a solid at the same time, leaving their body. What do you do as you are greeted with this.
Are there any guards or just these women? Or staff or anything?
There actually doesn't seem to be very much movement going on here. It's very quiet. You see, kind of out of place, but you see suits of armor, a couple of them on each side down the hall, like down this room. Just this intricate, beautiful suit with swirling lines of filigree, and each one carved with a rose on the front. But other than that, there's no movement. There's no movement at all in this room. You can hear sounds coming from further on. There's like a door at the other end, and you can hear sounds coming from it.
From behind Aegis, Avelios kind of leans closer to Aegis to kind of, again, pretend to like nudge him or it forward with kind of greater vigor. But as he does so, he says, "Monsters. You see?"
And this time, when you push Avelios, you actually won't feel the resistance you were expecting, because Aegis is just stunned by this. It has seen terrible things in the long stretch of time that it has wandered this broken world, but it has never seen anything like this. But as you say that, it mutters back to you, kind of stumbling and sort of catching itself. It says, "This Kadir has a lot to answer for. Apparently, he's their leader."
What name did you say?
And Aegis will look over its shoulder. Kadir. It's an elvish name.
Yes, it is a name that I am familiar with.
The construct will kind of tilt its helmeted head to the side, a little confused at that. Not saying anything, but just seeing if you're going to divulge more.
You can see like the color of his face like kind of drains a little. There's a definite pallor, and his eyes are like moving kind of around erratically, almost like he's searching and not really looking anywhere, but he's kind of internally searching his mind. He shakes his head. Hurry, let's go. We should get this over with.
And Aegis will nod and proceed forward.
Maul, Atrides, are either of you, what are your reactions as you see this?
I mean, Maul would definitely be upset. His fists are clenched tight, and he just he grits his teeth. He just tries to look ahead, not trying to linger on any one of these women as they walk by, knowing that if he's going to be able to free any of them, he has to get to the source.
I'd like you to make me a perception check, please. And if you're actively not looking, you can make it a disadvantage.
No disadvantage needed. I got a 9.
Okay.
Or shoot, I've got so many of these. Let me go ahead and I'll spend an inspiration.
Sure.
That's a 15.
So as you're going by, trying not to look and get distracted, you see a woman close to the door, not very far into the room, in fact. And for a second, you don't recognize her, but there's enough that it makes you take a double take. And in that moment, you see your wife, but like what she would have looked like, 16 years ago.
Elmo would turn and just kind of like out of the corner of his eye see this woman that bears such a striking resemblance. He would try to look forward and walk on, but he can't help but take a secondary glance. And when he does, the resemblance is just too much, too close for comfort. As he stops as the others are continuing to walk, and he slowly approaches the bedside, and he takes his hand and he places it on this young woman's hand and holds it for a moment as he looks into her face to get a better look. Does he recognize? I mean, outside of having a resemblance to his wife, does he recognize who she is?
It's been many years since you've seen her, but there is no doubt in your mind that this is your daughter, Shell. And I think we are going to stop right there. Call this a session.
All right.
Thank you, guys. We didn't quite make it to the end, but we will reschedule and finish it up next time. So thank you, everyone who is watching and who will watch. It's been a blast. I'm going to throw it back at my players and have them say their last thoughts, if they can. We'll start with Alan.
My name's Alan, and again, I played Maul, the Bonekin Barbarian. And Karen, you are definitely, this is a slow boil. We're in the pot and we're not noticing that the temperature is rising around us. So definitely going to be very, very hot next session. I look forward to it.
Yeah, I do too. Thank you guys for playing. It's great to have you. Connor, it's up to you if you have your mic, otherwise.
Connor actually told me that he's going to sign his outro, and I'm just going to translate for him. He says, I had a fantastic time. I really love baseball. No, I'm sorry. I really loved this session. And the bird flies at midnight. You can find me on Dice on Ice on YouTube.
Well done, the both of you. Point of inspiration. I love it. Next, we have Jason.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is something. Anyway, Karen, this is really, really good. A slow boil. I disagree with what was said, though. I don't think I think we can feel the temperature is definitely getting hotter in here. This is just this is really great, Karen. Thank you so much. I of course played Aegis, the Battlemaster Reborn. Also, don't hesitate to check out my channel, Concepts and Characters on YouTube, very small channel, and listen to the podcast that I'm a part of, a D&D 5e live play called Flipping the Table. We actually have a new episode releasing tomorrow, and I got to be honest, it's probably one of my favorites, so check it out. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody, all the great players, and of course to you, Karen. This is horrifying because it's like a car accident. You can't look away. You know it's going to be terrible, but you just cannot look away. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Jeremy. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I am Jeremy. Yeah, this wow. Yeah, like I enjoy role playing really dark situations like this, and having a character who is an assassin who's seen and probably done some pretty horrific things, especially in a world like this, and still finding myself in situations where I'm like, man, I think even this character would have an issue with what's going on. I really like that kind of play of morality, the chance to kind of show the reason that some of these characters are heroes, even whenever they have a dark side themselves. It makes it a lot of fun to be able to kind of play with where that line lies. So thank you very, very much for giving us the opportunity to do that, and for like mixing in so much of our backstories into the cause and effect of all of this. It's another joy. So thank you very much. These players are fantastic. I would play with any of these gentlemen any day of the week, and with you as a GM as well, Karen. I can't. I've had a blast, and even though I am sad to see how this is all going to come out in the end, because I do not think it's going to go well for any of us. I am very, very excited to see how it all happens as a player.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the twistedness that is me. So thank you, everyone. I think Baron had to dash, and so we will have to say goodbye to him. Check out his channel. It's awesome as well. So thank you, everyone, for watching and tuning in, and we will be back. I'm not sure when, but we'll schedule the last session and make it so. So thank you, everyone, and have a good night.